welcome, welcome to our beautiful Water Wisdom Collective unified. Um, I didn't actually
Heart.
plan what I was going to say just now.
Unified hearts.
The unified hearts and minds of the Water Wisdom Collective. Kiralani here with the amazing, beautiful Madeleine Sklar, and we are both holding our glasses of living water, welcoming in the consciousness of water, just as we are welcoming you to join us live for a quick 15-minute deep dive into awakening your inner goddess. So let's take a deep breath together, connecting to the goddess principle, the divine feminine, and the spirit of water. And grab your water and take a sip of water with us. Mm. So, Madeline and I have been working together in the Water Wisdom Collective for over a year now. And previously, we had united forces in this energy of the wisdom, the ancient wisdom. And Madeline is so connected to the ancestral wisdom of the goddess traditions. And I'm really thrilled that I have had the opportunity to support her in bringing this deep soul work, as well as the work that we do together with the water and the wisdom and the sisterhood, that Madeline can bring her deepest soul work to you here on Zoom or live on Facebook, wherever it is you're seeing us today. We'll probably put this out on YouTube so that more of you can discover what Madeline has available. Stick around till the end of this video. We're going to do a really short reading for the collective. But first, Madeline, I'd love for you to share with everyone, how did you become an expert in the traditions of Tarot, the Kabbalah, Tree of Life, and astrology as connected to your ancestral goddess tradition roots?
Well, I I was introduced to tarot in 1962 when I was 20 years old. And what I noticed, because there were only two decks available in New York City or San Francisco, so there wasn't a whole lot available anywhere in that case. And uh, of those two decks, they just were so patriarchal and so um, such a mishmash of cultures. It was, Christian, pagan, Arabic numbers, Hebrew letters that are numbers that I accepted at first, but because I was always looking for the deepest essence in things. I was born a mystic. I've always had that in my part of my almost epigenetics, as well as uh, my own practices when I was little, that I recognized that the Hebrew letters were the oldest piece of the Tarot, and that they actually go back to the ancient Canaanite cultures of the Middle East, where the goddess was the main form of divinity that was connected to the culture, whereas, it became as patriarchy spread around the world, the goddess became diminished, the feminine aspect of God, because God is all, is infinite and therefore is male and female and more. But the feminine became diminished and vanished. And by the time I grew up, she was, woman was below man, just barely above animals and children. And she was nowhere to be found. And so it was in the letters that I discovered her and suddenly was moved from there into reading about Kabbalah, which Kabbalah literally means receiving. And so it isn't something that is the Kabbalah, because it's a living document and even non-document, a verbal and oral tradition, as well as a written tradition of receiving information from spirit, from God, from the Holy One. And that informs each person who is available to hear that, to see it, to experience it in their own unique way. And so that was one of the things I came across in my studies. And I also
So,
saw where it was connected to astrology and to other things.
yeah, so I want to make sure in our really like lightning interview that we have today, I want to make sure to really connect to what you have, this opportunity that you have coming up for people to experience how what you just described can awaken the goddess that is within each and every one. You said that really briefly that we all can access this, and you have put together an experience for people to connect to their own inner goddess. Will you tell us about that?
Well, it's just going to be an hour. It's going to be happening on June 12th from 6 to 7 p.m. Pacific time, although it will be recorded. And so if you cannot make that time or that meeting, there is a link that you can contact me through and register through, and I will make sure you get the video. But to do it in person, of course, is very different because people, when we're in person, get to communicate with each other like Kara and I are and ask questions. And the other thing about this is that one, this is how it ties into the water. One of the three goddesses that at that time were seen as having created even the earth is the water goddess.
Mm.
And she's called the water mother, and she connects to one of the letters, and I will speak a little more of that later on. But I realized that I have always had a resonance for water and for the meaning of it beyond something to refresh you.
Mhm.
And so when Kira introduced me to this water, um, it tied into prayers I was already doing with the water of life, recognizing and praying that this water of life could heal and protect all that I loved and
Mm.
all whom I loved. And so it was an expansive but business potential, the water, and it was also an expansive spiritual connection for me.
So beautiful. So, what will people receive? What will they walk away with from coming to your Awaken Your Inner Goddess Zoom, live Zoom event on June 12th?
Well, I think they will learn some more things about the Tree of Life, about the way the Sphirot, which are both angels and spheres of energy, because
Mm,
that's kind of how angels are perceived in Kabbalah,
mhm.
that connect to different planetary energies as well. And so I have that. I've written this book that combines those two. And I'll speak about that some. And also, I feel like when we know, for me, when I learned about this goddess traditions, goddess awareness that was under the alphabet, and the Tree of Life, I began to realize myself as female. And this is not just for women, but it's also for those who identify as women, because we have both within us, and masculine and feminine, but this is the focus on those who identify as women, because in seeing ourselves as women and seeing our truth, our essence reflected in these ways is the beginning of recognizing your own value.
That is so powerful. And I was just to speak briefly to what you said about identifying as a woman or a man. I just was in conversation with a dear friend of mine who is a moon dancer, which is the female version of a native tradition of a sun dance that is usually practiced by men. And there are, in both the moon dance there are places for men, in the sun dance there are places for women. And she was expressing to me how men also have a need for connection to the goddess. And so the more that we as women can really claim our connection to the goddess and stand in our power as manifestations of divine feminine, the more that we're allowing the men, those who identify as male, to stand in their place in service to that divine feminine goddess, as well as in their own power of of divine masculine versus the corrupted patriarchal masculine that so many of us have experienced. So this is such deep work, and we could have a much, and I think we will have a much longer conversation about this. So if you're interested in a longer conversation to go more in depth into these topics, let us know in the comments. And if you would like to join Madeleine for her deep dive into this topic around the book, and I just, it just really dropped into me this alphabet, goddess roots of the alphabet. And so, Madeline, to give us a little demonstration of what you mean by that, would you please pull one of your beautiful cards from your book?
I would love to, but there's one little thing I want to just put in first in terms of the masculine and feminine, and that is that Rabbi David Zaslow was talking about this, and this is something that I've heard and read before, is that when that when the Holy One creates Adam, Adam is perceived in the ancient Jewish tradition as being male and female, a being that is half of each. And that when they become, that being becomes separated, it isn't, Eve isn't made from a rib, just from half. Eve, the feminine in that story is actually created, the feminine human being is created to be a helpmate against him, just as an arch that doesn't need that's really mathematically perfect, that doesn't need a stone in the center, cannot stand separately. But when the two parts of the arch come together, that's what makes the arch strong, is when two weaknesses are brought together, they become whole. And so that
Okay.
is the male and female.
So again, if you'd like to join us for a deeper conversation on this topic
Yes.
at a later date, let us know in the comments, and we are happy to come on for a longer. Right now, we are needing to jump off very quickly, so give us a lightning a lightning fast demonstration by pulling one of your cards for our
Okay.
collective. So send all your energy this way if you're joining us live or on the replay, and seeing the most divine message for the collective coming through right now.
Well, this is interesting. I end up with two cards, but this is the one that came up at the front. And so this is the cups, which has to do with the realm of the heart, of emotions. It's the emotional realm. And this is it from my book. And it talks about following rest and reflection, we welcome the new elements introduced into our relationship. Through, though we again must face unexpected demands, stresses, frustrations that push us to grow and adapt to new challenges. And
Mm.
so that's really an interesting card to have pulled, because some growth can be challenging. Doing this Zoom thing is a challenge. Creating a water business, teaching an event, leading an event that I'm going to be leading, all these are big challenges for me and for those who participate, because when you grow, the seed doesn't just like go boom out of the earth. It is challenged by the earth on top of it to manage to push itself up through the ground into
Mm.
the light, where it can then become a blossom.
And somehow, because it's cups, I always think cups are somehow connected to water because they can hold water. And I was really feeling as you were speaking, an invitation to connect more deeply with Water Mother to assist you in whatever challenges have shown up for you in your life. And if you would like to discover a new way to awaken your inner goddess by connecting to this meeting of rivers that is Madeleine's work with the Kabbalah, the Tree of Life, the Tarot, and astrology, then make sure you comment goddess on this video wherever you're seeing it. And we'll also get the link to that event in the comments for you. And if you're curious what we're talking about when we talk about living water, you can just drop living water in there, and we'll share more about that as well. And
Well, the
in the
cups,
meantime, um,
I just want to add another thing,
what's the last thing you want to leave them with?
that the cups are, in fact, the realm of water, because it's the realm of emotion. And where thinking is the realm of swords, it's had to do with divisions. Water is always that part that flows with life, the energy of life is carried in our emotions because emotion is energy in motion. And that's what water is.
So, as you can see, Madeline has a lot more to share on this topic. So, be sure to register for her event so that you can get the deep dive for an hour with Madeline's amazing wisdom. And until then, or for now, have an amazing, blessed, beautiful day. Remember to drink your water and get outside and see some sunshine or whatever the weather is where you are. So
What are
much
your
love.
plans? What are your heart? What are your relationships?